Welcome to the lecture 3. I am Govind Bajpai and today we'll cover the intermediate concepts in Python. We have on agenda a couple of things. We'll start with the list and tuples in Python and then go over loops and then we'll discuss about functions, dictionaries. I will show how to do error handling in Python and then we have a Python exercise for you to practice. So let's begin with list and tuples. So lists are ordered mutable sequences. By ordered, uh, it means the element in a list have a defined order, and that will be maintained as long as you don't change it. And the mutable sequence means you can modify your list. You can insert an element to list. You can delete one element from the list. You can do whatever operation you want to do on the list. You can change your list basically by that is the meaning of mutable, and it is created with the square brackets. Common operations on lists are append if you want to append one element to the list, extend if you want to extend this list. That means, let's say if you have to append more than one element in a list, so you just make another list and you can extend list one to the other one. So it will you can append more than one elements in a list by using extend function. Insert means if you want to insert an element in a list at a specific index, then you can use insert function. Remove, let's say if you want to remove a function, sorry, if you want to remove an element from a list, you can use remove elements. So basically, these operations on the list make it mutable. So let's say we have a list fruits is equal to apple, banana, cherry, and we do fruits dot append, then date would be appended at the end of the fruits list. And when we print fruits, it prints apple, banana, cherry, and the date. We'll practice these once I share the other screen and do hands-on. All right, so for the tuples are also ordered as the list, but the only difference between the tuples and the list is tuples are immutable. That means you cannot change a tuple once you define it. And these are created with parentheses. Um, Lists are created with brackets, square brackets, and uh, and these basically are used for fixed collection of items. Let's say we want to define something. Let's say, for example, here the coordinates. And coordinates, let's say we don't want to change the coordinates value anywhere in the code letter. So we define them as a tuple, let's say 10, 20, right? And so we can access the elements inside this tuple, like x, y is equal to coordinates. So x will get 10 and y would get 20, and we can use x and y anywhere in the code. All right. So we learned about lists and tuples, and we know what's the difference between the list and tuple. For the loops, we have mainly two loops in Python, so for loop and while loop. So for loop is used to iterate over the sequence like list, tuple, string, etc. And it's used when you know the number of iterations, basically the number of elements inside inside a list are the number of iterations basically. So let's say if you want to print each element inside the fruits list, so we want to know what fruits are inside uh, that list. So we can make a for loop for fruit in fruits and then print fruit. And for defining this for loop, we have to use colon here, and then we start with some indentation, and whatever line we write inside that indentation would be covered inside that for loop. So basically for fruit in fruits, so it would iterate over the list fruits, and each iteration that particular element would be assigned to the fruit, and we can use that element anywhere basically. And here I am giving one more example here for I in range 5. Range is a function which takes an integer as an argument and returns a list basically from 0 to n minus 1. Let's say if you pass n to the range function, it would return a list from 0 to n minus 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, like that. So for this, this would print 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 here. And then other loop we have in Python is the while loop, and it continues the execution as long as the condition is true. And it is used when we don't know the number of iterations. Let's say uh, we are given a task to count numbers, let's say, and let's say the upper limit somebody gave, let's say 5, and we have to count all the numbers which are less than 5. So basically, uh, we can use the for loop for this count is less than 5. This could be any condition, depending on. That's why we don't know like what could be the condition, and how many times the loop can iterate basically. So that's for that case we use the while loop, and while count is less than 5, print count and then update count value. So it would um, print 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and when it becomes 5, then this condition is wrong and it will not go inside this uh, while loop. And then we have the next thing is functions. Functions, these are like user defined functions basically, and we define functions when we reuse a certain block of code, and they are defined with the def keyword. And so for defining function, you may need some arguments. Arguments means the, the variable that you can pass to that function, and that is like input to that function, and it can return some values, and that is the output of that function. So giving just an example here, it's a def greet. Greet is a function, and name is the input to that function, is the argument, and the output of this function is it would return hello and the name. So this is showing some f string. Basically, you can, with using f string, you can uh, you can pass a variable name in here. So like in the codes, whatever you define is the fixed string, but when you use the f string, you can you can put some variable name inside the this braces, and that would be uh, printed. That would be returned here for this greet function. So let's say I call this greet function and pass some, let's say my name, Govin, and then it would return hello and a Govin. So message would be the, for this case, greet Alice. So it would return hello Alice, and then we are printing the message, right? Similarly, like let's say you want to make a function which adds two numbers. So that will take two numbers as argument as input and would return a plus b. A plus b means it's returning the sum of those two numbers. So let's say if we take this function add and then result is equal to add 3 comma 5, so it would call that function and pass 3 and 5 and then return 3 comma 5, so result would be 8 basically. So this is how we define functions in Python. And then dictionaries. Dictionaries are the unordered collection of key value pairs. So, like our usual dictionary, we have a key and we let's say we have a word and we want to find the meaning of that word. We just go through the dictionary and by that word we find the what's the meaning of that word, right, in the regular dictionary. In Python, a similar concept, like uh, we define dictionary with the curly braces and accessed by keys. Like lists and tuples are accessed by index, but the keys are, sorry, the dictionaries are accessed by keys. Let's say we define a dictionary. So dictionary starts with the this curly braces and ends with the curly braces, and inside this dictionary we have the three keys. So name, age, city, and the name is John, age is 30, and city is New York. Okay, and let's say if we have this data type and then and we have to, let's say, print the person's name. So person was the dictionary and name is the key to that dictionary. So person and then name and it would print John for you. And similarly, like person, and then job. Uh, so job was not there. So if you want to, let's say, add one like one more, like one or more elements inside a dictionary, basically we can uh, call, we can use this person and then in the square brackets this key, the job is the key here, is equal to engineer. So this one element job and engineer would be added to that person's list, sorry, person's dictionary. We'll see when we practice this thing. So for error handling, let's say we are writing some code and it may cause some error, and sometimes like errors are not user friendly. So this try and accept um, um, is used in Python to handle exceptions, and it helps uh, prevent crashes. Like let's say you are developing some software, and a lot of people are using that. And there can be some cases where the code, like some conditions may go wrong and the code may crash. Then like entire application will be crashed. But using the try and accept, we can avoid the crashing of that application. Like whenever like anything goes wrong, any error happens, it would go to the accept block and it would display some message, whatever you want to show, and whatever you want to put in accept block, it would uh, basically do. It will not it will not crash basically. So like here I'm showing an example, a try uh, number, some enter a number and then number divided by 10 divided by that number is divided by 10, and then except then the value is error. Like value error means the if you don't enter a valid number, let's say it enter number, that means let's say if you instead of entering number you entered a name, so that's value error basically. But let's say you entered 0 here, so it would raise this error like division, 0 division error, and it would show you a message that you cannot be divided by 0. Otherwise, like if you just want to print exact error, what's the exception that has occurred, so you can write print exception is the already used predefined keyword here, except exception as e, and you can print an error has occurred, and you can print that error. Okay, and now let me share my other screen and we can go over those things. Let me so sharing my other screen. Okay. So as we discussed about list tuples, loops, functions, dictionaries, error handling, and then I would tell you what's the exercise for you today. So let's starting with the list and tuples. So let me increment this part of the code, control plus division. So created this fruits list, apple, banana, cherry, and appending an element here like date, like this. So fruits, let's say this, and let's say if I want to run this, so it would print, see, it printed apple, banana, cherry, and date, right? And let's say if we use this print statement before appending, it would, for the first print, it printed apple, banana, cherry, and then we appended and one more element to the fruits list, and then it printed the data as well, right? So one more thing, let me show you like this, some more elements. So let's say if we want to print the first element. So one more thing before I go there. So the elements inside this list are indexed by, like, they have some index starting with the 0, 1, 2, 3. So the first element is 0 and second element is the first index, and then third element is the second index, and fourth element is the third index, right? So let's say we want to print the first element. Let me comment these as well. So let's say we have to print the first element inside the fruits list. We can use print fruits 0 and run. So this was the list, apple, banana, cherry, date, and the first element in this list is apple. So it printed apple. Let's say we want to print the second element. So second element is banana. So it should print banana. And we do this. Yes, it printed banana here. So the elements inside the list are indexed by like 0, 1, 2, 3, and so on. So this is like indexed from the beginning. The list is also indexed from the last. So the last element of the list is indexed from -1, -2, -3. So this is, let's say, -1, -2, -3, and so on. So basically a list is indexed from beginning as well as the end. So let's say if you want to print the last element uh, of a list, which is fruits for this case here, and we can index the last element by -1, and we can run this. So this was the the list, and we printed the last element inside that list. What about second last? So we can do -2 and then the second last element. So this was the list, and second last element is the cherry. So we printed cherry. We can also do slicing in the list. Slicing mean we can print a certain range, certain index range in a list. Let's say we have to print from the second element to the fourth element. So sorry, third element. So we can use 1:3. So it would print start with the first index, so that is banana, and banana, and then cherry is the second, and the date is the third index. So it would print banana, cherry, and date. Let me run. Let me enter in first. So for this case, it would print banana, cherry, yes, and one more thing like to be noted here. So first index in the list is included, and the last in the slicing, and the last index is excluded. So basically, when we do slicing like this, one, or let's say 0 for this case, 0:3. So 0, the first index would be included, but third index would not be included. So basically, it would slice the list from 0 to second index, 0, 1, and 2. So for this case, it would print 0, 1, and 2 element. So apple, banana, cherry, right? Let's say if I want to print from second and then 2 and 3. So it would print only cherry because it's only one element in between 2 and 3, right? So this is about, uh, we already covered this like append function, and another function is insert. So let's say if you want to insert like, some different element at the first index. Let's say 0 index is apple, and second element is the banana. So this is the one index, and let's say we want to, instead of banana, we want to keep another fruit at this index. So we can use this function, insert. So append adds an element at the last of the list, and this insert inserts the element at a certain index, which you give it here. So let me run it, and fruits now has banana, sorry, kiwi, and if we uncomment and and print fruits. So you see apple, banana, cherry, date was the previous one, and now apple, kiwi. Kiwi came at the first index here, right? So that way we can add, insert an element at a particular index as well. Now about extending a list. Like for using append, we can append only one element at the last, right? Let's say if we have to append more than one elements. Let's say we have fruits, and it's a num list. Anything, any list, 1, 2, 3, any number continue, right? And then we want to append this num list at the end of the fruits list. So we can use dot extend. So fruits is the parent list, and dot extend would extend this list to include the elements of the num list as well here. So if I run this code and save it and run, So you see, so this was our original fruits list, and then we appended another list using extend function like 1, 2, 3 here. We have we can also remove elements from a list. Let's say if you want to remove a cherry element from our fruits list, we can also do that. So let's say fruits and not remove cherry, and then we print. Yes. So in the last print, you see the cherry is being removed from this list, right? So these are very like basic fundamental operations on the list that we can do, and those are very important and we'll be using all the time uh, when we develop anything with the Python. We can also print get the length of a list. So length of a list is the number of elements inside that list. So we have this list, and let's say we run, it would show how many elements are inside this list. For this case, number of elements inside this list are 7. So this is all about the list, and let me comment all this part, and then we can talk about tuples. So as we know about tuples now, so tuples are also ordered, but they are immutable. You cannot change a tuple once you define it. So basically, let's say we saw this example for the coordinates. So coordinates is tuples are basically defined by the parentheses, and lists are defined with the square brackets. So we want to print, let's say x and y for this case. We can see like x is assigned 10 and y is assigned 20, right? And we cannot change like we cannot do any operation like append, insert, remove on the coordinates because it's a tuple. All right, so the thing about tuple is now about the loops. So let me get the fruits list here. So this is our fruits list. Let's say if you want to print all the elements inside that fruit list, so we have to iterate over that list and then we have to print, right? So that's what you're doing here. So for fruit in this fruits list and then print fruit. Fruit would be assigned like each element inside would iterate through each element inside this list, and that corresponding element would be assigned to this fruit variable, and then we can just print, do whatever operation we want to do on the fruit. So let me run this. So you see it printed apple, banana, cherry, date, like here. So that way we can like this is the like simple demonstration of the for loop. So for loop is used to basically iterate over sequences which are list, tuples, or strings. One more example here. Let's say I told you about the range function. It returns a list from 0 to n minus 1. So if you use this, so it would print 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. You see, printed 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. This is all about the for loops. And now we have one more loop for the while loop. So for the while, so while count is equal to 0, sorry, while count is equal to 0, while count is less than 5. print count, and count is updated in value. So while this condition is true, we'll keep on executing the stuff inside that in that loop. So let's say if we want to, let's say 15, for example. So it would print all the numbers which are less than 15. See, 0 to 14 it printed, right? So this is all about while loop. And now let's go with the functions. So functions, as we already discussed, they are reusable block of code. Once you define once and you can use it like at multiple places. So basically, let me run this and save this. So defined a function with greet, and then it takes in name as the argument, and then returns hello and this name. Okay, so uh, it will call this function, and we call this function, and this name would be printed. Basically, it would return hello and then Alice. Let me show you. You see, it printed hello Alice. And basically, by reusable, I mean I can copy this and the message to it's print Boolean. So I didn't write this definition again, so I just called that function and just change the argument inside this function, and I can print basically two messages here. So hello Alice, hello Gunmatman, right? So similarly can do. Similarly, we can see this example for addition of two numbers. We can have created a function which adds two numbers. So basically, see, so this is the function to add two numbers. So a comma b takes two arguments, and the result is equal to add 3 comma 5 and print. So it will print 3 plus 5, 8. Let me run this. So it printed 8. Okay, so we have this. And then for the dictionaries, as we talked already, so dictionaries are unordered collection of key value pairs. And they are created with the curly braces. They are accessed by keys, not index. All right, so showing you one example here for the dictionary. So let's say person is the dictionary, and since it's a dictionary, it's initiated with the curly braces, and there are some elements inside this like name, age, city. Name is the key, John is the value, age is the key, third is the value. Similarly, the city is the key, New York is the value. And let's say we want to print the person's name, so called this dictionary and passed the key, so it would print John. Let me show you. So it printed John. Let's say if you want to add one more key value pair inside this uh, dictionary, so we can use this, and maybe we can print person. So we can print this dictionary and see if this element is added to dictionary or not. So you see, John, we printed first, and then name, John, age, and then last we added job, engineer at the end, right? So this is it about the dictionary, and now we have to cover this last topic for the try and except for the exception handling for the basically error handling. So this, so we have, let's say, so as we already discussed about like why it's useful, it prevents crashes and provides user-friendly error messages. So let's say we have this number, integer input, and the entire number, and then we are dividing 10 by that number, and 10 divided by that number is result. Okay, so let me show you example here. So so it's asking to input a number here, and let's say if I don't enter the number, let's say Govind. Govind is not any number, right? So it would print, please enter a valid number. You see, since we didn't enter, so it handled that exception, and it went inside this and value error, and then it handled it very, very properly, and it printed, please enter a valid number. So we know like I didn't. So by this error message, we know something is wrong with the input. Let me run the code again. So let's say I entered let's say 0 for the second case, and we cannot divide by 0, right? So it caught this exception, division, 0 division error, and it printed this message, cannot divide by 0, and we see it here. And the last thing is if like these are like two exceptions, there can be many other exceptions that we are not aware of beforehand. So this exception is whatever the error happens in this try block, it would catch that exception, and as E, so that exception will assign to E, and we can print the E, whatever, right? So, and let's say if we enter a correct number, let's say 10, we enter 2, it should return 5, right? So if everything goes well inside the try block, everything is, it not go to the, except if anything bad happens, anything crash happen, any error occurs here, it would check the except block, and you can handle that error from there. All right, then here um, we have one practice exercise for you. What you have to do is to create a simple contact management system. For that, you have to use a dictionary to store contacts, such as like name as key, phone number as value, and implement functions to add a new contact, update an existing contact, delete an contact, display all the contacts, use a while loop to create menu for the user interaction, implement error handling for invalid inputs. So this, when you do this exercise, you will brush up all the concepts that we learned so far in this tutorial, and your concept about all these things, the list, dictionaries, tuples, would be very strong once you do this practice exercise by yourself. Thank you so much for paying your attention. See you in the next class.